Welcome to the pivot. When I refer to the pivot, I'm talking about how your lower right side, your right hip, your right knee, and your right foot respond during your backswing. If we go into our golf posture and we start to make a backswing, what you'll notice is that weight is going to transfer over to the right side. It has to transfer in order to support the swinging motion of the arms and shoulders around and up in your backswing. As that weight transfers, you're going to feel pressure in your foot. You're going to feel your right hip starting to turn back. What we want in your pivot is that you maintain the pressure to the inside of that right foot. So as you take away and start to swing around, the right hip's going to turn back and the right foot is going to engage with the ground by keeping the pressure to the inside of the right foot. Okay? You will start to feel a twist going on in the right knee as this is occurring. The reason this is important, that the pressure stays to the inside of the right foot as the right hip turns back, is that it gives us a better opportunity to initiate the forward swing with a strong lateral shift. What we don't ever want to see in the pivot is we don't ever want to see the weight transfer to the outside of the foot. Okay, that means we lose that engagement to the ground and it doesn't provide as good of a lateral shift for us. We also don't ever want to see the right knee straighten too much as that right hip turns back, or that too will not give us the best opportunity to make a strong lateral shift. So when we're doing this and when we're practicing, we want to feel the inside of the right foot really engage with the ground and a little bit of twisting going on in the knee. It's the only tension I ever want anyone to feel in their golf swing. And again, it's a simple result of how this right leg, hip, and foot are responding to your backswing. At this time, I want to show you some of the pivots of the best players in the world.
All right, let's look at Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy. It's Dustin Johnson on the right and McIlroy on the left. Notice the yellow boxes. I've tried to isolate so that you can focus on what they're doing with their right leg as they make their takeaways. Let's look at McIlroy first. Watch as he takes the club away how his right leg responds. His right hip is turning back, but his right foot is staying engaged with the ground. As he gets to the top of his swing, notice that his right leg is still at the same angle that it started at address. The only difference is that his right hip is turned back. Okay, and because his right hip is turned back, his foot has had to grip the ground. Mostly the inside of that right foot has stayed engaged with the ground, which causes that twisting feeling in the right knee. All of this is going to give him a tremendous ability to shift laterally into his left side very powerfully because he's made a great pivot here. Now let's look at Dustin Johnson do the same thing. What I want you to notice here is look at the Callaway bag behind him. And notice as he's making his takeaway and going around to the top of his swing, just how much his right hip turns back and his leg basically twists back with it, and it never bumps to the right at all. And you can see that just because it never covers more of that Callaway bag than it did when he was standing in his address position. Again, look at the angle of his right leg. It's the same angle that it was at address. He didn't straighten his knee. He didn't let the weight roll or bump to the outside of his foot. He kept it all to the inside of his leg, and that's a very powerful position. When we look at the pivot, we see it one of the most similar moves in most of all the good players is that their pivot is almost all the same. None of them bump their weight to the outside. None of them straighten the leg very much, and they keep it this way because it gives them a better ability to shift powerfully to the left. Now, let's take a look at Tiger Woods. Same thing here. We'll isolate his right leg. Watch as he goes back. How basically his right hip is simply turning back and his right foot is staying engaged with the ground. It's what we want. All of the movement techniques in this program are going to show you how to train that, because we want it to respond. We want it to be a response to your takeaway, and when it is, it's going to become a very powerful aspect to generating speed in your golf swing, because that lateral shift is really the first or start of the speed in your forward swing that's going to get passed around from your hips to your shoulders to your arms and to the club.
So hopefully you see in those examples with Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, and Dustin Johnson how they are maintaining that pressure to the inside. They wouldn't be able to turn that right hip back and still keep the angle in this leg if they weren't keeping the pressure to the outside. You'll feel this as you start. If you were to stand up right now, go into your golf posture, and turn your right hip back, your right foot is automatically going to have to engage with the ground. Keep that pressure to the inside. When you're performing the pivot technique movements in this program, that's what we're focusing on. Okay? You're going to develop a pivot that allows you to generate a very powerful lateral shift, which is, again, going to be the start of the speed in your forward swing, and that's what we want.